Speaking of rappers, I watched that first episode of the Kanye doc.
Oh God, how good was that?
Yeah, I mean, so in the most respectful way possible, I had like a certain idea about Kanye, but I didn't. You've seen Office Space, right?
Office Space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Kanye was effectively like the Milton of hip hop.
Oh, that's a good take.
You know, like, okay, but you guys said you would sign me, and you still haven't signed me, and if you don't sign me, I'm gonna make a platinum record. And they're like, okay, Milton.
Kanye.
That shit where Dame Dash was just like egging him on in the studio, and he's like, yeah, man, he's hot. We're gonna sign him, you know? And you see like Kanye's like this young boy who's like, fuck yeah, and they just don't do it.
I know.
Damn.
I know.
Also, anyone can say what they want about Kanye, but that dude lives on another planet because he's been that guy since literally like 20. How crazy was that when he was in his apartment? He's young as fuck. He's like 20. And he's like, yeah, you know me, it's Kanye. I got platinum hits. I got a little song on that album with Eminem and shit. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I knew he was like a great producer. I guess I did realize, but it put into perspective how young he was when he got successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it was especially cool for people that are our age.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really see
that part
of his. We weren't like there firsthand. We didn't know about. I mean, at least I didn't really know about H to the Izzo. And even if you knew about that,
it still wasn't
finding out how big that was for his career.
And
like, I don't know if you followed hip hop during that time, you knew about like Chicago hip hop, and you knew like what a name he was, but like how much trouble he had like transitioning.
Yeah,
that's a really cool story, and I had no idea about that.
Well, I think that like it definitely contextualized a lot of stuff. And I think the crazy part was when you think about that era of music, like Jay-Z dominated everything. New York had like a stronghold on music. Just that whole idea that like, oh, if you're from the Midwest, like you're not going to be able to go, like you can't go up, you have to leave. And just like seeing that, like even though he kind of was still breaking through being from Chicago and then moved and was still having all that fucking difficulty, like damn. There was an article I think in Complex, and it was like from Rockefeller, and it seemed like they were really trying to save face. It was like this fucking thing where they were like trying to really exaggerate Kanye. They're like, oh no, that whole clip where he performed the song, like we didn't pay attention to it because he used to do that all the time and da-da-da-da. But other people were like, no, he didn't do that all the time. He did that one time.
Yeah. Like when he went into the office and like that shit was like heartbreaking.
I mean,
so awkward.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And he's playing a hit, and everyone's sitting there like, "Hey, man, can you turn this off?"
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool is it like just humanizes him because the way we see him now, at least for the last like 5-6 years, is just small outbursts through the lens of the media.
Yeah.
Or through his weird Instagram captions that he purposely makes abstract and weird to promote an album or something like that. That's all we see. And then we get one interview with Charlemagne, like every 3 years or whatever the fuck. And so to see him just on the come up like any of us trying to chase our dreams, doing the same shit, getting taken advantage of, really like, but having some hits or like some successes, and just trying to turn that into something was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It just made him real in my eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand why he is the GOAT.
Yeah. Well, so the thing that kind of bugged me out, and this is where I've like fallen off in terms of like tracking, I guess, close with like certain people in hip hop. So at the top of the documentary was this dude, Rhymefest. He was the guy in the orange shirt. And I remember when I was like in high school and college, I would listen to Rhymefest. This is when, you know, Kanye was really blowing up. And like underground, like backpack nerds would be like, oh man, Rhymefest is the one, you know, writing all the Kanye shit. You know, Rhymefest is the reason why Kanye's successful, which awful take, like not true at all. But I was under the impression that they had like a falling out. That was weirdly one of the first things to hit me in the documentary is I was like, oh, they're still friends. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Cause I guess for me, knowing like, I had a skewed lens of that. Cause then how people would talk about Rhymefest, I would just sort of ingest that and take it as truth. And I'm like, oh man, Rhymefest should be, you know, get more credit and this and that. There's actually a song, I think it's off a Rhymefest album. Can you Google search just Rhymefest and Kanye West? I forget the name of the song. But I remember watching this shit. I would like show it to people because I would tell people like, oh yeah, you know, Kanye works with this guy from Chicago named Rhymefest, and I guess like he's written a lot of stuff for him. People wouldn't believe me. And I'd show them this video and they'd be like, what is Kanye doing with this fucking like loser? Like it was like so hateful. So I don't know. I think that was just really dope. And I'm curious to see in the remaining episodes. Now go to YouTube. I'm curious to see like if they touch on their story in any way, because he, as far as I know, is like a staple in terms of like how he came up. So I'd be curious to see if there was a falling out and like how that relationship evolved. Yeah, Brand New.
Oh, I love this song.
Did you?
I fucking love this song.
Yeah, dude.
This is like my favorite Kanye song.
What album was this off? So this wasn't off, because it's Rhymefest featuring Kanye West. So
what did I hear this on? I heard it on like MTV or something like that. I was obsessed with it. And you could only listen to it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
Was it? Yeah.
Or it was like on sketchy like music blogs.
It came out in 2005. Yeah, that shit is old as fuck. And then when did
Dude, it's such a good song. Let's start the bonus episode with that song.
Yeah.
Well, I got into Kanye after he dropped that album that he's making in the first episode. So I was like not privy to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just cool. I don't know. It's just fucking sick to see. And it's also just dope that he's been filming everything he's been doing for 20 years and
Cody,
just didn't tell anyone.
Shit's crazy.
Right? Nobody knew. They didn't even market this at all, did they?
Not really. It was definitely talked about, but yeah, it wasn't like heavily marketed.
But people knew that it was coming out and like Netflix.
People were kind of like sniping clips and like putting them out, like the one of him going around Rockefeller and like playing the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here like, I'm not like an expert on Kanye's career either. I guess all I was trying to say is that my frame of reference for Kanye was, okay, after like Through the Wire, I got to know more, and I'm like, oh, this dude is going to blow up. He makes dope music. Everyone likes his music. And I just thought he was a really talented dude from Chicago. And then when I learned later about Rhymefest, then I had this like skewed perception of like, oh, Rhymefest was the one making major contributions to his career. And I kind of always had it in my head that Rhymefest was a big catalyst for him to be successful. But already in the first episode I'm watching, it's like, oh no, this motherfucker was like, he was it.
Yeah.
He was
I think that's
guy.
the point, is that everyone has these like preconceived notions of, or not at all, like me, of what it took for him, or I guess what it took for him to have such like a rabid fan base where like every time he does something weird, people are like, no, he's still the most creative he's a genius. And meanwhile, I was like, I just think he makes good music, but I didn't really think. And then to get the backstory, you're like, now I understand why people say he's a genius.
Yeah.
Like even like meeting his mom, seeing them interact, it's like, fuck, he was kind of, I don't know what it is about those clips, but it's just, he was destined for this. Like, he was clearly gonna stop at nothing to make sure that people heard his music.
I mean, he was a star, like, to the fullest.
Dude, that clip of him when Scarface was in the studio and he's trying to get him to do the hook on Jesus Walks. Yeah. Clearly he's like, this is the song, and then he plays it and Scarface is like, next.
I like snake bar, yo, sub to my OnlyFans, my booty hole crusty.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That feeling is the most vulnerable feeling ever, showing someone privately something creative that you made. That's like a more nerve-wracking feeling than just putting it out on YouTube.
Because it's important to you. But also, like, you know, out of all that, I have to say I'm impressed with Kanye's commitment to dental care.
Seriously, yeah. That
motherfucker had those retainers in.
I know.
But you know what, bro? It is a super interesting moment because at that time, like, it was just like a lot of street rappers, like really, you know, dominating radio. So no one had any reason to be like, yeah, this is gonna, you know, this is gonna blow. Yeah. Except that one dude from Raucous Records who's like, nah, man, like you hit a lot of different audiences, like you need to keep going. And it's crazy in all that noise and all those people being like, nah, fuck you. It's like there's only like these handpicked people who could like see the future like that. Yeah. Yeah, it is super dope, like seeing the raw vocal takes of like future hits, and dude, when he's sitting there playing Jesus Walks, that must be such a crazy feeling for him. And everyone who watched, like, especially the videographer Cody, like watching that, being like, oh, like these motherfuckers were so wrong. Yeah. So wrong. Yep. Bro, and then how he pulled out the pen and pad and acted like he was going to write something.
And then just was like, I can't. I know. I felt that. Oh. You feel that because it's like, that's such a huge opportunity for Kanye. And he's sitting there like just hoping and praying something would happen.
I think at that time, like when you contextualize what it was like to hear that music, if everything around you is sort of like a tougher tone, right? Like in terms of the writing, the presentation of the music, and then he's playing these beats where it's featuring samples like Jesus Walks. People probably heard that and they're like, oh, this is like
weird.
This is like Christian. It's too soft. Yeah. You know, they're taking it literally. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And they're not seeing like, oh no, this is like a crazy down the middle. Yeah. where like this could hit a fuck ton of people. They can't see it that way.
Yeah.
Because why would they?
Yeah.
It's
very reminiscent of, Lil Pump's.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Sort of remind me of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kanye and Lil Pump definitely had the same career.
Yeah.